Fofo. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them goats. All from the Fofo, and let's go. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the Fofo, chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin', and they really bout it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and Connie I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the Fofo. This for the Fofo. This for the Fofo.
Good morning, everybody. Sam Torres here. It is Thursday, finally Thursday, May 11th here on the 440 Sports Show. Thanks so much for stopping in as we're going to cover some of the baseball and softball games that were played around the area and throughout the YSN brand yesterday. Also going to be, we'll go into some of the games that are happening today. I know myself personally, I will be at the Edgewood Lakeside Battle for the Bridge for the final time this year. That's happening over tonight at Edgewood, right around 4:30. So we'll get that game started, or that game will be right here on the network here for you tonight. So a lot of great ones. One to keep your eye open on is the Pymatuning Valley at Jefferson baseball game is canceled today. So that game will not be happening, but do not fret. There is a lot, and I mean a lot of baseball being covered right here on YSN, baseball and softball. Speaking of softball, they're getting into, some of the playoffs are setting up with sectional championships. There's some big ones going on tonight. The one I know on the softball side I'm trying to keep my eye on is the Jefferson Ursuline softball game. That one looks to be a good one. If you're gonna go out and check out a game, that's the one I recommend you check out. Jefferson is going to host Ursuline, and this Ursuline's a very, very good team. So this one should set up to be a pretty darn good game tonight. Some of the other games going on tonight are, let me get over to Thursday. Here we go. We got Carrollton at Louisville. That one going to be called by, we're going to go a little bit reverse skate this week. I'm going to go through the games first, and then we'll go through the scores. Carrollton at Louisville. That's a 5 o'clock start. And actually, all of these games are going to be a 5 o'clock start unless I indicate otherwise. So these will all be 5 o'clock starts unless otherwise indicated. So you got Carrollton at Louisville. And then Columbiana at Wellsville. So Joe Eusebo going to be on that call. Howland at Boardman. These are all baseball. Noah Doherty on that one. Lordstown at Niles. Ian O'Brien going to be on the call for that one. Cardinal Mooney at Ursuline. This one going to be played at Scene Park, and Tim Corso is going to be on the call. So that should be a pretty good game there too, between two pretty good programs in Mooney and Ursuline. You got Rootstown at Waterloo, and Ty Bartell is going to be on that one. And then Struthers at Canfield, as Matt Maurer and Jordan going to call that one, and United at Salem with Derek Rhodes on that call. Some of the other games tonight that won't be on the network but will be occurring: Buckeye Local at Edison, Grand Valley at West Branch, Heartland Christian at Warren JFK, Lisbon at Beaver Local, Sebring at Latonia, Western Reserve at McDonald. Those are the baseball games going on. The softball games going on. Again, we're not putting, we won't be broadcasting the district level, or the sectional level. We won't be broadcasting the sectional level of these tournament games yet, but once they get into districts, we may be able to get back in there. Unfortunately, there's a pretty hefty price for the broadcasting fees there. And with surely just because of the amount of games that are going on, it doesn't really make sense for us to do it because you guys aren't going to get the value you deserve out of that $10 pay-per-view. The beauty of YSN and the only time that there is any pay-per-view is during the tournament time. And that's because, of course, we take on a charge. With that, we offer a $10 package. You get to watch as many games as you want. So that works, and that's awesome. It's really the best deal in streaming when you're talking in terms of basketball, if you're talking in terms of football, things like that. It's a great deal. It's a great deal because you can go out and watch 5, 6, 7, 8 games all for just that $10. It's good for 24 hours. So even if you don't watch them, concurrently, you can watch them consecutively. With the baseball and softball tournaments, we're not necessarily getting all those games out there. So, $10 for one game seems a bit steep for as far as we're concerned. For that, where you don't have any option to do anything else with that. But again, as districts start to unveil and these district matchups start to happen and get together, this is something that'll be reevaluated. The best thing you can do is just stay tuned in to shows like the 440 Sports Show, Running Point, and obviously the Cornerstone Power Hour. That's where you're going to get all your up-to-date information. But let's talk about some of these softball games that are going to be happening tonight, as these should all be sectional championship games. Alliance at Howland. Again, all of these ones going to start at 5 o'clock. Berkshire at Champion. Canton South at Poland. Crestview at South Range. You got Garrettsville Garfield at Pymatuning Valley. That's a big one. Lakers getting to host their first sectional championship this year. So another one, if you can't make it out, or if you want to go out and you want to check something out, that's the one to go watch out here in the county. Girard at Field at 5. You got NDCL at Hubbard, and you have Perry at Canfield. Perry riding a high as they've been able to get some big W's here in the late part of the season as well. Ridgewood, at Edison. You got Rootstown at Brookfield. Southeast at Lakeview. United at Columbiana. Ursuline at Jefferson. I've already told you that one is a meeting of the powers. That is a meeting of the mega powers right there. You're not going to want to miss that. That is definitely one. Even though we won't be broadcasting it, you bet your bottom dollar we will be reporting on it, keeping a very, very close eye on that one. And then finally, this one, I'll tell you what, these two schools seem to meet every year or every season at this point. It's unreal. Edgewood and West Branch meeting again, this time on the softball side. If you looked over just one season ago, both basketball, boys basketball and girls basketball meet. So there's some kind of a connection from Edgewood to Beloit. Like those two just they have like they're like two magnets that will always find each other, and that's going to be the sectional championship right there. Also on the network tonight is going to be Western Reserve at McDonald. Anthony Hartwig is going to be on that call. That is not an OHSAA playoff game. There'll be some video-only games tonight as well, starting at 5:30 from Scene Park. You'll have the 14U Class B baseball. And then 7:30 at Scene 1, you'll have 14U Class B baseball. So that's what's going on. There's a lot going on the network tonight, including what I'll be covering, which should be the Edgewood Warriors versus the Lakeside Dragons, this time at Edgewood. The final battle of the bridge going on tonight. All right, let's jump. Actually, you know what? Let's go to our first break. And then when we come back from our break, we will jump into the scores for yesterday. So that's what we're going to do. A little bit of a different kind of order in today's show. I think it's good. Change is always good, right? So let's go into our first set of commercials. This is the part of the show where I remind you that the 440 Sports Show is brought to you by nobody yet. We're still looking for some advertisements, some sponsorships, and a little bit of a presence from Ashtabula businesses right here on your sports network. It's a great way to get your product, your business, or anything you're trying to get across in front of, well, almost 70 schools, well over 70 demographics. Everything we do from the sponsorship and broadcasting side gets pumped right back into the company, which allows us to provide broadcast shows like this. It allows us to do stuff like the YSN All-Star Game. It's going to feed into the Combine, the volleyball preview, all these things that we're doing. So you are helping kids by helping us. So, we'd love to get your presence on here. If you have a business or you know somebody who has a business, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you. You can get me on any of these social medias. You can go to ysnlive.com, click under the advertisement tab, and there's another way for you to do it. Let's get some Ashtabula representation on this show. I've only been doing it for 3 months, so let's try and get that going. Let's go to our first set of breaks, though, and our first set of breaks is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Toyota of Warren. If you want to know how in they are on YSN, just go down to East Palestine or anywhere that YSN's out. You're going to see this beautiful Toyota Tundra that is part of the YSN family, thanks to these guys right here. Toyota of Tundra, our first break.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
From on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
All right, everybody, we're back here as we're going to get into the scores from yesterday, and we're going to hit the standings page up as well, as that one appears to have been updated again as stuff is starting to move around. So let's get this one right now. And for those of you who want to know, man, this is a great way to keep up. And how do I find that out? Well, that's as easy as that. You go over to ysnlive.com. Let's go full screen. That way you guys can get the full understanding of the ease of access here. So you go over here to ysnlive.com and you check out, man, look at all these great stories that these guys are putting out, tons and tons of stuff, just all the content you could ever want, up and down here. You can find great stories that are being written. We're doing player profiles, all that good stuff. But at this point, you just want to know what the scores are. So you take your little cursor. You're going to go right here to the scoreboard. Boom. And here you are, updated, up-to-date scores right here on ysnlive.com. Okay, so I'm going to take that off the screen. Sorry, folks. That is a little bit. There we are. Better. All right, starting off here, you got Southern and Cheney, and the Southern local Indians going to grab a big W here over the Cowboys. It's 5-4 Southern there. Steubenville and Edison. Edison with a big win over the Big Red. 2-1 as Edison comes out on top there. You got Canfield and Boardman. 7-4 there. Coach Niddle getting himself another win right before tournament time there with Canfield. Salem goes 11-1 over Heartland Christian. 17-0. Sorry about that. Columbiana goes 17-0 over Lisbon. You got Western Reserve is 15-9 over Lowellville. Lakeview and South Range is 4-3. Ursuline gonna fall to Fitch in this one, 9-5. Crestview goes 9-2 over Beaver Local. East Palestine is gonna fall to Springfield here, 9-2. And Poland chomps down on the Falcons here, 17-0 there. Louisville. Sorry, I know I'm going to catch all kinds of junk for that. It's Louis, never Louis. Louisville, 11-1 over West Branch. And that is quietly a pretty big victory there for the Power 20 this weekend, as West Branch with an absolute ton of wins. And that's going to help Louisville, who has been knocking on Logo's door for a couple weeks. They may find themselves scoot right in there. McDonald goes 17-5 over Waterloo. Southern local gets a 7-0 victory over Cheney in the doubleheader. And Lakeside and Edgewood, it's Edgewood in this one, 8-3, spoiling the Dragons senior night. All right, going over here to the softball side of things, you got South Range going 15-2 over Girard, and Hubbard 7-1 over Struthers. East Canton goes 8-6 over Jackson Milton. Austintown Fitch is starting to flex their muscles early in this tournament, and their first one is going to be against Lakeside, 22-5. Fitch goes to Lakeside, and that's going to end Lakeside's OHSA tournament run. Western Reserve goes 14-0 over Lowellville. You got Mineral Ridge 13-2 over Badger. Louisville and Hoban, talk about a huge one here, 2-1. Hoban coming out on top for this one. Walsh Jesuit 11, Boardman 0. Steubenville goes 24-0 over East Liverpool. This again, softball on the softball side of things. Southern local goes 11-1 over Maplewood. Chalker will continue their tournament as they go 16-0 over St. John. Newton Falls, Springfield goes 9-1 over Newton Falls, and they're going to win the Battle of the Tigers there. McDonald goes to 2-0 over Cardinal, and those are your games for the day yesterday. Now we're going to head on over to the standings page, as with some of these updated scores, updated games, we're going to have at least new records inside the conference. I don't know how much change is going to be occurring. Here we go. It's Canfield 8-0 in the conference, as they are going to go outright champions of the AAC this year, 14-3 overall. Austintown Fitch 13-10. They're going to go 4-2 inside of their own conference. Again, Austintown Fitch and Canfield, that one is going to be decided by one game. There's one game that is going to change that, and we still don't know when that's going to happen. Over here on Buckeye H, you got Indian Creek, 5-3 in the conference, 17-7 overall, and Edison right there behind them at 4-3 and 16-7 right there behind them. Over here on the softball side of things, it's Indian Creek on top again, 7-1 in the conference, 4-2 as Edison right behind them there. It is a race to the finish over there as well. Heading here over to the Eastern Buckeye Conference, and Alliance is maintaining their position, 9-2 on the top there. Carrollton at 7-3. Interesting enough, again, you look at these overall records here. Alliance 16-4, but in first place there. Carrollton with an impressive 20-3 record in second place in their own conference. Marlington is a perfect 8-0 and a 20-1 overall. Carrollton 5-1. Head over here to the EOAC, and it's Columbiana, who I believe, and if I'm wrong, correct me, as that normally happens. Columbiana's 11-0. They're 11-0, 15-9 overall. I believe that should do it for them. They should be your EOAC champions this year, as the second place team has 4 more conference losses than them, and that being United. Over on the softball side of things are still a little bit up in the air, as Columbiana in the driver's seat, 12-0, 18-2 overall, with United with only 2 conference losses on the year, 15-4 overall. Let's head over here to the MVAC, and it's LeBray back on top here with a 12-2 conference record and a 20-3 overall record. Holy smokes. Crestview is 11-2 with a 15-4 overall. McDonald is 12-2, and Jackson Milton is 11-2 over here on the Scarlet side of things. Heading over to the softball, it's 12-0 champion, 19-3 overall, and Brookfield right behind them with a 12-2 record, 17-4 overall. So tightly contested there. McDonald and Western Reserve, this could very well swap depending on today's game. So whoever wins today's game, and that one going to be called by Anthony Hartwig right here on ysnlive.com, that game going to decide who's going to be the final conference leader. I can pretty much bet that. Western Reserve and McDonald meeting here, both of which have 1 loss in the conference, 15-2 and 14-1 overall. That one's a big one. That is a big one right there in the MVAC. Here we go over into the NAC, as St. John set to take on Bristol today. So Matthews right now 7-1. They're going to win. I believe they're going to win. The NAC is different right now because there's still some regular season games that have to be played, and all NAC games count toward your conference record. So they don't even necessarily have to play somebody in their division. Matthews, if they lose any more games in the conference, are at risk of losing their division winner status. PV right there with a 5-3 and a 9-12 overall. But you take a look over here at St. John. They're 9-0 in the conference, 13-4 overall. Bristol coming into this one 5-2 in the conference, 10-12 overall. That game is happening today as well. St. John's getting ready to take on Bristol at Smith Field. Over here on the softball side of things, it's all PV, 11-0, 15-4 overall. The Lakers are laking, and that's what they're doing. PV is out there getting the job done as they go out there. They win a sectional title. They've won their conference, and what a year for PV softball it has been. Right behind them is Matthews at 5-2, Chalker 9-1, and Lordstown behind them with 4-5. Heading over here to the most interesting conference, I believe, of the year, and that's this NE8. This NE8 is a wild group of teams. Lakeview, 12-2, 18-2 overall. And I believe with Lakeview's win over South Range, they can officially be named the NE8 champions of 2023. What a year for the Bulldogs. What a year for Lakeview. They started off, another team that started off with some tough losses, a tougher way than they wanted to. They kept fighting, and, throughout the middle of the year, people were like, hey, man, take a look at Lakeview. Watch out for Lakeview. And here they go. They're going to win the NE8 conference title this year. And let's just be honest, it's a loaded conference. absolutely a loaded conference. And, Lakeview is 18-2. South Range is 17-5. Poland is 13-8. Hubbard is 15-10. Struthers, who sits behind Poland, is 12-9. 7-10. Girard 4-13. You only have two four-win teams in the conference. Like, you are never getting a break over there in that NE8. So congratulations to Lakeview on going out there and getting it done. And not only congratulations to Lakeview, let's congratulate those South Range Lady Raiders. 13-0, a perfect conference record, 20-3 overall. Right behind them is Lakeview. They're 8-3, 14-3 overall. I believe the Lady Raiders are officially the NE8 champions after these sets of games. All right, back over to the Portage Trail, and it's Warren JFK, 10-1 in their conference right now, 15-4 overall. Lake Center 9-1, 17-4 overall. This one is going to be a tightly contested one as Warren JFK and Lake Center. Warren JFK's only loss is to Lake. So it'll be interesting to see how this one's kind of ends up. Both of these teams obviously going to be high seeded in the tournament, hosting games, and expected to have good runs in the tournament. So when those conference games are going to happen for the Portage Trail is kind of up in the air. Over on the softball side of things, you got Rootstown, a perfect 7-0 and a 13-4 overall. Mogador is 4-1 with a 14-3 overall record. Heading over to that Steel Valley. All right, Steel Valley Conference. Ursuline still holding on, 3-0, 12-8-1. Their overall record right now. Mooney right behind them with a 2-1 record, 8-10 overall. And that's why this Ursuline Cardinal Mooney game is so big, because Cardinal Mooney, if they beat Ursuline tonight, tie for the conference championship. Even with an 8-10 record, it's something that they can hang their hat on. So this game, if Cardinal Mooney wins, then both those teams then become 3-1 in the conference. If Ursuline wins, Ursuline runs away with the conference. They should be the champions this year. Over here on the softball side of things, you have Cardinal Mooney at 2-0, a 5-3 overall record. Not many games played for some of these teams. That is a doggone shame. East is going to get 3-1. Is going to go 3-1 with a 5-7 overall record. And that's going to do it for our conference updates. Again, make sure you guys head over to ysnlive.com. Tons and tons of stories on the way. Tons and tons of stories out there right now. I want to take a chance to shout out Emilio Parks. He's going to be having another Hoop Classic right here in Ashtabula. He's looking for teams. He's looking for ballers. Calling all ballers. Get out there. Get ready. You can bring your own team, up to 7 on your team. $20 a player. The deadline is May 24th. It's going to be June 24th at Lakeside, starting at 10 a.m. We're going to be providing coverage of this one once they get to the championship rounds of this one, semifinals and championships. So it's going to be an absolute blast. He had this last year, and it was a ton of fun. Great basketball. A great way to get out there and get some run. They'll be doing this again this year. Emilio Parks, one of those guys that went around, professional basketball player internationally. Got to see basketball played at the very, very highest level with tons and tons of stamps in his passport. Coming back to Ashtabula, bringing this great event, bringing a high level of basketball, and just trying to give back to the community. So that is awesome. Make sure you check this out. I'll share the flyer over on the social media pages. That way you can share it. And if you have any questions, you send an email to eparks8@yahoo.com. Any questions, I'm sure that Emilio would love to answer. So that is going to do today's show. Thanks so much for joining us. And, tomorrow we will be I don't think that the Edgewood Lakeside game is actually today. I think they played their final one yesterday. So I may be changing coverage depending on the outcome of that. So we'll see what's going on. But I can guarantee you this. Tomorrow we're going to have games to talk about. We're going to be getting ready for the tournament. It's going to be a great day. So today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. I'll see you guys then. Thanks so much for joining me. Sam Torres, 440 Sports Show.
This for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back. belly full of them goats. Off on the phone, hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the 4-4 chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcon. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And Connie, I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the 4-4. This for